say we just finished about 10-15 minutes ago. We actually witnessed Trident versus 2 Red Devils, and now we will be heading into the second round of matches, which will be highlighted by Antic Esports versus Baked Not Fried. Kuda and Spark, man. I remember when I actually casted these guys individually during AOTC, as well as during the first regionals. These players are not to be trifled with. There we go. I might be finding the words eventually. There we go. And then, of course, we have Baked Not Fried, Sabo Jr., and Swami Hamiha from and Swami, I guess, from Australia. And yeah, I don't really, as I said, mainly for the AOCE, I saw from a few names that I know. I don't really know what to expect here, so I kind of want to know your input on this.
I mean, my input right now, I'm going to be honest, okay, this might be a little sacrilege. When I think Antic, I've kind of been riding that League of Legends trains out of late. Shout out to Antics making it to the PCS. But no, yeah, this could be a bit more of a one-sided affair. Sabo Jr. and Swami, not quite as big competitive names as of yet, but I do believe they've actually been driving for a good while. I can't claim to be an expert on these two. Compared to the Antic side, again, I mean, they had the big runs last year. This team has had a lot of success. Furthermore, they've qualified as the #1 seed coming into the AOPL. At this stage right now, expectation would be I don't want to call it like a one-sided dominant affair, but Antic would be coming in as heavy favorites.
Yeah, so I feel like it would be the same feeling for me, and I'm just gonna go ahead into. I know we didn't do time predictions. I don't feel like it's a good area to actually go there because matches can be a bit longer than expected. But I feel like we're gonna be seeing the same kind of score that we saw last time. I think 3-1 for Antic.
I would even go further. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 3-0, but a competitive second round is where I would say it. Okay, those are. Am I in the wrong lobby? I might have.
Are you seeing the prop? Do you see the Antic logo there?
I see Trident and DXA, so I think I have.
Yeah. Then you might be on the wrong server, buddy.
I believe I am in the wrong lobby. My bad.
No worries. Yeah, in the meantime, we are just getting started with the picks and bans, actually, with Baked Not Fried having decided to ban Simplicity, apparently, right away. This is not like a timeout one that we've had a few moments ago. This one is actually a legitimate ban, and Candy Crush coming in as a ban from Antic Esports. So, yeah, feels like we're going to be seeing Shias getting played for the first time ever here on stream.
Oh, let's go. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, there's still a chance that it could go all the way down to the decider and we don't get there. Waiting will be the first pickup, and I believe that will be the first time we actually do see waiting on stream.
Exactly.
Before that was... Oh, no.
Was it? No. It was the decider in the last match, but it didn't get played.
No, it was... Yes. And yep, there's Agatha. So 2 new maps back to back.
And potentially a third one back to back. Maybe she. Oh no. Okay, we get 3 priests as the third pick. Okay, I mean, makes sense. All right. I have no qualms about it. And she has the decider. There we go. That was this thing that we actually erroneously got for the first match, but this time it's for realsies. Luminance as map 4. That actually could be interesting to actually see how that pans out for Baked Not Fried. But yeah, overall a pretty interesting selection of maps. And yeah, both Simplicity and Candy Crush being banned. Simplicity being one of the more, I guess, like conventional maps being banned, while she, as we both noted, or is arguably the most difficult of the entirety of the map pack. So I hope we get there to see how players get on.
Yeah, I would actually be really interested to see how Antic in particular attacks that map. Should it come to the decider, I feel like that could be one of the few moments where we can see them really start to run away with things. Our first map, though, will be starting very, very shortly. Waiting on waiting, as it were. Kind of funny. I got it. I had to do it once.
I mean,
but
yeah. we just at some points, like, it just walks into the room 10 to 15 minutes ago. You just don't really think about it, you know?
Yeah. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna out myself. A little embarrassing moment on this track. Okay, again, every time I drop my experiences learning these maps, it has to come with the idea of like, okay, this is a person who's not the greatest at the game. They can get author medals on some campaign, not all campaign maps. I made a wrong turn, went into the fragile, like hit a fragile boost, and then still wound up medaling on it, and I was like so impressed with myself. But yes, turn right, not left. Stay on the real track, otherwise your car will become fragile and you will crash horribly.
I mean, we all go through that way. I mean, there's been some instances of tracks where I'm like, okay, where the heck do I take a wrong turn? I'm like, oh, where the heck do I go? And then I never finish the track again. So you know, we all get those moments at some point. Don't worry, you're absolutely not alone on that. So yeah, we are we have landed on the map. So now it's the time to actually check everybody's PBs. We see, well, pace advantage theoretically going to Antic, 56.1 for Kuda, 0.0 for Spark, and we're driving 0.3s for both Sabo and Swami, 0.365 for Swami and 0.354 for Sabo in terms of PBs, of course, giving us a bit of an indication as to what the pace might be, but it's not likely to be that. Remember, race pace is completely different than ultimate PB pace. In the meantime, we're getting started, round 1 underway, and I'll let you take over, Formal.
Yeah, I mean, that initial jump, if you land it cleanly, it's actually a lot of fun, but more realistically, these transitions, you want to maintain as much speed as possible for this point right here. High landing on the dirt, maintain the speed throughout. So many early transitions, avoid the water. Make sure you keep your tires good. Nice little bit of a speed slide. Avoid the fake finish. Yes, that one's a fake. Yes, I did hit it. That's neither here nor there as Antic continues. A nice 1-2 punch right now, already a half second ahead of Saber Jr. and Swami completely out of it in a full second as we come through the simpler part of the track. A lot of more straight lines, easy turns, just have to maintain your gears, maintain your speed. A little bit of a transition down, up, and around as we get ready for the final checkpoints up ahead now. Go for the risky finish.
Okay.
It's a pretty easy one compared to the others, and you get a nice easy ace for Antic, 56.0, half a second off the world record on the first round.
And also a PB for Kuda, who drove a 0.1 before we actually headed into the match. So yeah, first round PB for the man from Indonesia, as we're moving on to round number 2 now from the perspective of Sabo. And yeah, you can see, yeah, that start is very tricky, not only because of the drop down, but also because of the grass corner afterwards, and the triangle line you need to take into the checkpoint, which actually forces your car kind of all over the place. It's very much an exercise in car control, this first part, as we see Kuda just sprinting away with the lead, as his teammate Spark is coming out a little bit of the worse for wear for the first sector. He's 1.4 to 1.5 seconds down on his teammate, but his teammate has a pretty healthy lead over the two Baked on Fry players, about half a second, give or take, even more than that, 7/10 over Swami, who is his direct competitor, trying to rope his teammate Sabo into that as we go on to the third and final sector. Then we go onto this left-hander, followed by this sort of chicane section, which has a bit of a tricky kind of lineup. It's a somewhat blind. Then final checkpoint in the final corner. What's the time going to be for Kuda? 0.108. Okay, so driving 0.0, 0.1's driving within the PB range already in the first 2 rounds. Spark, having had a crash at the very end, still reaches the finish line. It won't be a draw, but still a 3-point net lead for Antic. And so far it is Kuda who has seemed to have started the match off on the right foot.
Yeah, Kuda looking in fantastic form. PBs straight into another fantastic time. And you can see with these first couple corners, just attacking it a little bit more tightly, a little bit more aggressively, and is rewarded already, well, with a nice lead, at least over Baked, the two teammates from Antic. They were practically the same car. And again, it's so rare you get to see two teams so in sync with each other. Now, Swami had some issues at the start. They've already fallen a fair bit back. Sabo, as well, just has not had the speed, although Kuda's perfection will eventually run awry. A little bit of a bonk right there. Spark, though, still well and truly out in front, and some pretty decent times through the middle section. Now, Kuda's bonk wasn't enough to lose out on third place, so everybody about a second gap between it all. Not really the wheel-to-wheel racing was hoping to see for this round is what it is. Everyone should be expected to finish in these positions right now. Spark actually on pace for another, 56.1, I believe. Yep, 56.0, in fact, a PB for Spark. Super fast ending.
Hey, yeah, 300ths of an improvement for Spark. Very, very solid round driven by the Indian player. And yeah, Kuda's perfect streak came out to end pretty early with that little bonk at the fake finish. Well, he went a little bit too wide actually in the banking, so that's what prompted the rear of his car to hit the finish. Luckily, didn't come out that much worse coming into third place. And yeah, both Sabo, well, no, Swami's actually still in the running, but yes, Sabo was, yeah, I feel like he might have hit the checkpoint trying to go for the triangle lines.
Twice.
Oh, twice. Ooh, that's a hell of a blow if I've ever seen it. So yeah, Kuda and Spark pretty firmly in the lead, 1.4 seconds ahead of Swami. There wasn't really not much to say about this. I'm trying to describe the track as we go, but of course the sections go so fast that you barely get enough time to describe it. So we're already into the third and final sector. Again, that's left-hander, followed by that sort of right-left chicane that sort of falls off and is a little bit blind. You can see Kuda going very close to the wall there, getting a little bit antsy before the final corner, and then the run into the finish line. The times will be a 56.095 and a 0.13, 0.14 even for Kuda. So yeah, overall solid times being driven all around, and it will be another ace going the way of Antic, 9-2. Map point number 1 for the blue side.
I mean, this is some next level confidence we're seeing from Antic right now. Again, you have to like take race pace into consideration. The fact that they're nailing PBs and then hitting equivalent times to said PBs back to back. Credit where it is due. Antic, it's like they're free playing right now. They're forgetting this is a competition because unfortunately Baked has not been able to bring it. That said, this could be an opening for Baked. Kuda a little bit high on the dirt, wounds up bonking off the wall. Sabo Jr. as well, keeping up with Spark. This has to go Bake's way. They need an ace themselves, but unfortunately Swami had a bit of an issue further back and is now sitting well and truly out of it. I mean, they need to catch Kuda and hope Spark makes a mistake. Spark, by the way, has been near perfect throughout, so the likelihood of that, it gets lesser and lesser with each passing checkpoint, with Sabo Jr. falling behind Kuda as well, who's done a magnificent job on this recovery drive. Now, this pace is a little bit slower, I believe, than what we've seen in the past, but it might not matter. It's a 1-2 for Antic. Final checkpoints coming through, and it's going to be a 1-2 ace. Antic in 4.
Man, whilst you were calling the action, I was watching Sabor at the start of the third sector. You know that's corner that I described before, which kind of falls off and is a little bit blind in the approach, where we saw Kuda getting very close to the outside wall. Sabo was all over the shot, correcting right, then correcting left, and then unfortunately at the very, very last moment just had a bit of a wall touch. I was like, you were that close to saving it, buddy. But unfortunately, I mean, it was a little bit too much of a handful, and so it will be Antic taking the win in this opening map as we're going to be heading into our next pick. And yeah, this is going to be pretty spectacular to watch, as it is going to be Agartha up next.
Ooh, and we haven't really seen Agartha yet. Again, look, I'm always curious to like compare other people's first impressions, first runnings of this track. For me, obviously, this is the one track with ice that we have, so you know, there's always got to be one ice turn in every sort of campaign that we run through. Fair enough. The other part for me, this is the only track where I somehow wound up going backwards for the like final sector, essentially, like the final 4 checkpoints. It wasn't really clear to me what you're supposed to do. I'll point it out when we get to it, but there's a cheeky little jump that you have to make at this one stage where the landing needs to be perfect. And if you want to maintain that speed going through the checkpoint right after the wall ride, I think you know where I mean.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, also there's a wall ride on this track as well. A lot of fun things in this one.
I guess to kind of keep the motorsport references going, I think we can refer to that one as the Hail Melon portion of the map pack. Yeah. For those of you who know, you might already know the reference if you're a motorsport fan, but for those of you who don't know, look up NASCAR Martinsville 22. There you go. I'll just leave it at that. I won't get into the full context of it, but yeah, you guys will see what we mean by that. But either way, we're getting started. Well, we're supposed to get started, but I seem to see, yeah, looks like we are missing Kuda, so we are going to be heading into a bit of a technical pause whilst Kuda takes the time to rejoin the server before we get underway with that map. So yeah, that's a bit unfortunate one to see. It always sucks when to have like technical difficulties when on the side of a particular player, especially when it happens in the live round. So we're glad that it happened during the warm-up and not during a live round. That's all I say.
Yeah, exactly. This is better to do. And I imagine it won't take long until Kuda will get themselves back into this map and we will continue running on this one right now. I don't know why I wasn't ready for a Hail Melon reference today, but it really does make too much sense. And it's always scary when a physical motorsport race can be compared to a video game, like, and so accurately as well.
For me, like it's like, I haven't seen that in one game. I've seen that in 2 games. It's like you get a combination of Trackmania, of course, with the plastic wall rides that we've gotten over the last couple of years, but also I guess you could also call this an iRacing strat. I don't know if how many people in iRacing have tried that. Maybe more than one for sure, but yeah, it definitely felt weird. I'm like, Plus, I remember it was actually Virtual who actually quote tweeted the clip from Chastain's finish, and he was like, okay, Nadeo banned wall bangs because they were unrealistic. I demand them to be brought back.
Yes.
That's the best case. That's the best case for the return of wall bangs there, ladies and gentlemen.
And Nadeo should have responded only if you smash a watermelon and eat it off the ground, in which case I'm sure Virtual would have complied for stream.
Yeah, pretty sure.
We'd be good to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, crazy moment again. That was a good season for NASCAR. NASCAR needed that season to get back. You know what I mean? I feel like it's
Yeah.
been dipping in popularity through the years, but it's on a bit of an upswing now. So good on NASCAR for getting back on.
I
It's
mean,
more than just turning left.
I mean, to be fair, I don't really watch a lot of NASCAR because, yeah, I mean, time zone thing first, plus oval racing isn't really my cup of tea to begin with. But the few races that I've watched, plus other oval races like IndyCar, the more I
Yep.
got into it, the more I started to understand that it has its own intricacies, and the more I enjoyed it in a sense. It's not
Yes.
I realized that it's not just like turn left, turn left, turn left, turn left. It's I mean, you get a lot more aspects in terms of like aero with the side draft, with the bump draft, and yeah, there's a shit ton of stuff that happens. The pack racing, two driver tandem, shit like that. It's pretty fun. It's pretty
It
fun to
is.
follow.
It is, and then, but that said, and this is, I think that's what I'm saying. NASCAR, as great as the oval racing is, I still love NASCAR on road tracks, and
Street courses, yeah.
and the street course race. We're doing an OCE stream. Come on, how sick was Shane Van Gisbergen? That's all I'm going to say. New
Yeah, I mean,
Zealanders can drive.
for me,
Awesome moment.
yeah, I mean, Shane is a goat, really. I mean, he's
Yes.
he's not a multiple supercar champion for no reason, right? Plus,
Yes.
getting his maiden debut in NASCAR with Trackhouse, I think it was like the
Mm-hmm.
number 91
Yep.
car,
Yep.
and winning in Chicago. That what there were some funny things that I've seen on Twitter about that. The first one was a meme. You know, what the fuck is a kilometer? There was the response,
Yes.
what the fuck is a mile, with the fully saturated New Zealand anthem. And the other one was how some people struggled to pronounce Shane's name. That was actually
Oh, yeah. I think it was
the,
Earnhart Jr. who actually had the worst
some people,
pronunciations
yeah,
of it at the start.
and people mistaken him for Jeff Burton. That's the real thing. People think like, they sound so alike. It's like, wait, is that Jeff? People think it's Jeff. For me, that it's such a funny clip. It's just called Jeff You Good. I even downloaded it, I think, because I wanted to save that for posterity. But like you hear Van Gisbergen to the lead in turn number 4, and then you just hear, and then my God, I was just rolling. I was rolling on the floor when I heard that. I'm like,
That race,
one of the
that race
funniest
was
motorsport moments of 23 for sure.
that entire race was full of them, though. You had the parking lot moment as well, that
Yeah.
just where the entire road was blocked off. And again, the crazy thing too, when you watch that, just seeing someone, I mean, the tires played a part, yes, but pushing that car to the absolute limit each and every turn, and how much extra pace you get. And I think that's a really great lesson that you can carry over motorsports, and even in track, maybe less so Trackmania, but maybe more for other sims.
Yeah.
You're hitting the limit when you have no choice but to go to the very edge of the track at the exit of every single turn. When that is your exit point every time, and you're not forcing it, that's how you know that you're on the right line. And to see that for 18 laps in damp conditions perfectly was an insane drive.
Yeah, that was actually pretty nuts. I really got to rewatch that race at some point. In the meantime, it looks as though we have Kuda, who has rejoined the server. So we look to be we'll be restarting in 15 seconds. So yeah, apologies for the delay, everyone. But yeah, that was brought on by technical difficulties on one of the players' side, which seem to have been resolved. And thus we'll be heading straight into our second map, Agartha, which is going to be a baked, not fried pick. And I feel like, just like the last map, I'm going to let you take over the reins, Max. Take it away.
Oh boy, here we go. Jumping into this one, we are live. And if baked, I mean, look, they've had a lot of time to warm up for this one. We'll see if they're able to bring it back and take one in their favor. Sabo, though, already balking through these first plastic sections. Not really what you want to see. A lot of quick transitions, cheeky little chicanes that you can hit at high speed through the start is what we're looking at, followed by a nice little jump into the ice turn, the only ice turn out of all the tracks that you will see. And it is a deceptive exit coming through. It's a big bonk from Swami. Kind of takes him out of the running here. That's a full respawn, and that is very unfortunate. Antic on pace for an ace, unless Sabo can chase Spark down through this high bank in the dirt. Coming down is a tricky landing, another little detour, but the engine gets cut off. Got to do a little bit of a wall ride, and that's where Sabo's going to make the pass up into second place. Don't jump on that first turn. Jump on the latter part of the turn. Land on the grass through these final checkpoints here, and then it's one more turn before the the no steering finish, I should say. Kuda will come across PB in P1, a 101.6, only 0.4 off the world record, and enough to help Antic get the win with a second PB out of Spark.
Second PB out of Spark, indeed. And yeah, there we go. I guess we were managing to point out the section where you got a little bit lost, I'm guessing, whilst we were waiting for Kuda to rejoin. And I kind of want to mention also the ice part. It's not just a jump into straight ice. It's a jump from Sausage Road to Bob. Bob, thumbs up, by the way. And it's always one that is kind of tricky. You do need a certain amount of speed, about 260 to 70-ish, but also that's if you want to actually go for the nosedive to get early ground contact. Kuda hitting the wall on the outside, managing to come back at it. Well, I say hitting the wall, but that might be a little bit of teleport on his end. There we go, through the bobsleigh, trying to land on the right side, on the left-hand side of the bobsleigh, then pivot the car almost instantly to set yourself up for the ice slide. So far, Sabo managing to get a really good first half of the map, and thus battling for the lead with Kuda actually on this round. Spark under threat from Swami as well for third place here, trying to get a little bit of a regain of form here on the side of Baked Not Fried. And great wall right there from Swami. Ross Chastain would be proud, as that takes him all the way up to second place ahead of Kuda by about 0.2 of a second, and also allows him to catch up to his teammate Sabo before the final checkpoint, as we do see Spark having had a little bit of a moment there. Sabo going for the full jump on the outside, and it will be a 102.707 with Swami in second place. It will be the ace for Baked Not Fried, who take the lead by 2 points.
And we never really had time to do a pace check coming into this track, but I'm going to address the elephant in the room right now. Unless Spark has an alt account that we don't know about, significantly slower PB, which we saw in that first round, a 104.3, so 3 seconds behind the world record. It's not normally a gap we're used to seeing. So I expect Spark's going to update that PB as we go, but I do have to wonder, have they not practice this track, or is there an alt account kind of lurking somewhere out there? We'll address that again in a bit as we come up through the bob already. Spark looking a lot more confident this time around. Unfortunately, Swami, same can't be said, kind of down and out on this one. Kuda right on the line, gets through. Sabo Jr., however, did not, as they fall further and further back out. It's looking like it's going to be another ace for Antic if they can keep things clean. But at this stage, I just want to see what kind of time Kuda's going to run out with. Super fast through the wall slide now, high up on the bank. It does force you to do that before launching yourself straight through that checkpoint. Enough speed to make the jump. As Kuda continues nearly a second out in front. This is going to be a very good time, I feel like.
I'm guessing a 0.5.
Very good. It could be across the line. Woo!
Oh, okay.
102. So a little further back, but hey, Spark, again, new PB, but as mentioned before, I think every time's going to be.
Yeah, I feel like the PB from Spark was more of an anomaly. Maybe he might have more practiced, maybe not on an alt account, but more offline, like completely off having downloaded the maps. That could also be a possibility, and not having this time sent over to the Nadeo leaderboards, which we're basing our sort of PB and what the PB you see at the bottom left is based off of. So yeah, expect that landmark to kind of move for Spark as he gets more into the groove of that track as rounds go on. In the meantime, he will be actually taking the lead, Spark, over into the bobsleigh part. Sabo continuing to chase him down, about a 10th down, with Kuda a further few tenths behind as well, keeping that in mind. But Spark went a bit too wide and hits the checkpoint with the right side of his car, and thus will be relegated down to 4th position. That might be the section that's causing him a little bit of trouble, allowing Sabo to move up into the lead, but he's got Kuda right on there, snapping at his heels and actually making the move into the lead. Despite the teleportations, he's indeed in the lead of the race as he continues to undulate back and forth onto the racetrack. Sabo just sees him sprinting away with every time that he resinks, and thus it will be Kuda reaping the reward of that very good middle and third sector to move up into the lead and take the win individually with a time of a 102.350. 4 tenths clear of Sabo, Swami in third, Spark in P4. It will be a draw that it will still allow Antic to lead by just 1 single point.
Yeah, it's a small lead, but it's a pivotal one. Again, you can consider this a break point because, again, Baked did not. Well, they were the one who chose this map, probably seeing, Spark's times, thinking maybe this could be an opening for us to get that win over them. As unfortunately for Swami, though, it's going to be a start there would want to forget, not really making that first transition. They got stuck in the gap, and they have had to respawn now. Sabo Jr. only hope to try to salvage something from this. A draw would be nice. Neck to neck with Kuba currently for second, but it's Spark, the driver who's had the most troubles on this track, in the lead coming out of the ice section. Very, very low exit for Sabo. Bonks the wall, couldn't adjust it. And then a second attempt winds up flipping on the curb as well. It's a disaster for Baked. Antic with an ace here would get themselves 1 point away from the second map, and at this stage is kind of cruise control, not just because we cut the engine off, but because they are that far ahead. 6 seconds. They just need to coast right now. We'll see if Kuda actually puts pressure on Spark, or if they just kind of take the easy way across the line. I wish they could say this was a dramatic
multi-21.
but We'll see what happens. Hey, it's going to be a PB for Spark. There you go, 102.2.
102.2 for Spark. Well, as we said, the landmark is going to be getting shaved down further and further and further. Yeah, that was unfortunate for both Swami and Swami getting a respawn as early as checkpoint 1, and then Sabo, that double respawn at the exit of the ice line was just so painful to see. Just going a bit too far off to the left-hand side and hitting the wall, and then trying to be a bit too conservative and trying to rain that exit a bit too much, and thus flipping on the curve, as you mentioned. And yeah, that's now the point of no return for Baked Not Fried. They do need to do a counter ace immediately if they want to actually keep the dream alive of actually going 1-1. And now we see an opportunity maybe for Baked Not Fried. Skuda has a very, very wonky section transition through the chicane in checkpoint number 3. It will be Spark holding onto the lead, though. That will be the main dark horse. As long as Spark holds onto second position, it is going to be over. Oh my goodness, Spark manages to keep it on the road. But look at how much time he's lost, and he flips over. No way that just happened. Kuda almost immediately picking up the slack, trying to cover off his teammates, moving up into second place and even in the lead ahead of Swami. What a comeback from the Indonesian player, but the wall ride wasn't great. He clips as well, and thus it will be Sabo taking second place away from him. It looks like, Max, that we'll be heading on a 9-8 scoreline with Swami firmly in the lead. 7/10 clear of Sabo. Oh, well, look at Kuda. Look at the comeback for Kuda. To the line. Kuda sniping it for 13 milliseconds, and thus will be enabling Antic to conclude the map on a 10-7. What a roller coaster of a round. Antic giving themselves the scare of their lives, probably, and then some, but ultimately they deny Baked Not Fried their own pick. 2-0.
Ain't no way that just happened, Baked. They were there. The dream was still alive, and Kuda, not one, but 2 recovery drives, it felt like, in that round to get himself back in that one. Geek, twice we saw Kuda bonk, but the man's got so much space. They were able to bring it back. The drag race goes in their favor. Baked a little bit too conservative at the end, and this is why you can never ease up. You've got to push, push, push till you cross that finish line. My goodness, Antic. They got away with one, but now up 2 rounds to not on their pick as well. This is looking very good for the Australian org.
Yeah, this is looking very, very good for the Australian org, exactly, as we're heading on to 3-piece next. That's the first time that we're seeing this map, and I don't know about you, but I feel like that those first rounds on Chias, I'm probably going to be waiting for a little bit because, yeah, back on an Antique pick, and yeah, with how devastating that loss might have been for Baked Not Fried, I don't think they're going to be able to dig themselves out of that hole at that point.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I don't know. I mean, as we get kicked off for 3-piece on this one, I'm just going to quick little look at some of the drivers' pace, what we're expecting. And this Kuda, I believe, has the fastest time. The only driver out of the 4 to have hit in that 56.9 range, and the only one who's kind of gotten under the 57 mark so far through these first couple turns as well. Very, very composed from the Antic side. We'll be curious if it will be maintained. I mean, Sabo Jr. and Swami still right behind, although Sabo Jr. got a little bit high off that jump and it's going to have to reset, so the pressure is on Swami, who already finds himself a half-second back. It's not looking great. They flip as well. Both members of Faked has reset, and Geek, it's going to be Antic, I believe, with a nice clean run to the finish. No pressure on them now. We just get to relax, enjoy the course, 3-piece, the scenery, the greens, the grass, the palm trees. Very, very peaceful. Take it slower because, again, this entire last sector is done in 3rd gear, so you can really appreciate it as they come across the line. 2 PBs, 1-2. That was a very good time, a near world record.
0.879. That is solid. Solid is an understatement. 3-piece, 0.809. Just as a reference, is the current record. So that was such a sick time being driven by Kuda. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. The start was looking a little bit shaky there on that round for the Indonesian, but he's got plenty of time to catch up, you know, to the 2 Baked Not Fried guys, and he also got a great teammate in Spark to actually cover him off, currently sitting on a 57.029. Actually, a little bit of a correction. It's not the first time that we've seen 3-piece actually being played. We've seen it, of course, in the match before between Red Devils and Antic Esports. So quick correction on that. In the meantime, first half of the map, and it's going to be Spark leading ahead of Kuda, who made the comeback from 4th to 2nd over the course of these first 30 seconds of the map. As we're making our way through the 3rd sector now in 3rd gear, we had a little bit of a wall touch from Kuda, but that's enough to do damage, and allowing Swami to move back up into contention for 2nd place, but the move is not there yet, and it looks like it will never be on at this stage of the round. With one final corner to go, Spark will win with a time of 57.199. Bit of a backflip with extra style points for Swami in 3rd place, and that's going to be a 2nd consecutive ace for Antic. 6-0. We're past the halfway mark.
Yeah, this is looking very, very dominant from the Antic side. Again, they're driving so stress-free, it seems like. Even when they make mistakes, Kuda on multiple occasions has been able to bring it back. I actually want to see them push right now, Geek. I think we could see a world record if they're able to kind of piece some of these laps together, because they certainly have shown the pace in these first couple rounds. Swami did have a bit of a moment already. He finds himself kind of down and nearly out, which puts pressure on Sabo Jr., who will take advantage of a sketchy landing from Spark and lands so cleanly. In fact, they have the pace to get past Kuda, but then it's that rear left wheel going off the track that's going to cost them. Kuda now just has to coast at this stage to the end. It could be the 1-2 one more time. They've got a 2-second gap, so you have to imagine they are not stressing as at all, and that will force Baked in a position where they will have to essentially get 3 aces in a row themselves, assuming nothing dramatic happens at the end right here. Kuda on pace for another 57.1. I'd have to think it is a 57.3 actually, so a little bit slower than before. Either way, ace for Antic as Sabo Jr. slowly makes their way to the finish already.
Actually, yeah, just as I mentioned for Kuda, he had a little bit of a bump at like the final chicane, the final corner. So yeah, that lifted the front tires up, and I'm suspecting that's where a good chunk of those
that's where that 0.2 was.
I feel like that's where that 0.2 was indeed. And yeah, that's it. They're up against the wall now. Baked Not Fried. They do need 3 back-to-back aces just to actually even the scales. Not even try to go for a win here. And that looks like an extreme uphill battle for those 2 drivers who are, I guess I could just point out just before we actually done and dusted with, I do really appreciate the livery that they're running here, which is a Nürburgring 24 inspired livery. Oh, what a crash from Kuda as I was protecting Swami, and as I was complimenting the livery. Looks like that might have played a little bit of a role in that little incident there from Kuda, who's forced to double respawn even, but almost immediately is going to be Spark taking over the lead to pick up the slack. But again, Spark doesn't necessarily need to be the leading all the way. He just needs to finish in 2nd place at the very least to guarantee 1 point going the way of Antic to conclude the match. But right now, it looks as though to be doing this in style, keeping Sabo at bay and then continuing to build the gap to almost half a second compared to the KCMG car of Sabo Jr., and it looks as though it will be all she wrote. 10-1 the final score, with a 0.219 at the key there for Spark at the finish line. Sabo and Swami 2nd and 3rd. Kuda will be able to reach the finish line with a few seconds to spare, I'd imagine, with this last jump and into the final corner and the jump into the checkered flag, and that's it. 10-1 here on 3-piece, and 3-0 overall. Antic are your victors.
Yeah, they looked super comfortable doing so as well. The only blemish, really, a couple little crash moments, I guess, at the end, and Spark, I guess, not able to hit that final turn clean again, kind of bumped off the dirt, had the 2 wheels there. Whatever, doesn't matter when you're that far ahead. Doesn't matter when you're winning 3-0 against Baked. And there's a reason why Antic is, you know, arguably the favorite to win this entire tournament. We kind of saw that on display in this matchup. I'm going to be keen to see how close to an undefeated run they can really piece together.
Yeah, I'm also kind of interested to see how dominant of a run they could potentially make. I say dominant, but of course, we say that because they qualified for seed, but you're not that far off from having an upset loss at some point against some very worthy opponents. So it's going to be a pretty interesting time to follow this competition over the course of these next few matches and days for sure.
Yeah, I think there is going to be a still, like, again, it's only day 1, right? So there's going to be a lot of stuff as we do move on through this. Look, we have one more match as well to bring you for today. So you're going to want to stick around for that one. I'm not going anywhere. I'm assuming you're not going to go anywhere. We'll see how long this one takes. That was a very fast match. So hopefully it doesn't take too long, but we will return for round number 3.
This match brought to you by FedEx. Stay with us.